Hello, Sim here. So E3 has been a busy week and it might feel like it's been a really long time ago in a galaxy far away since you last watched a commentary from Sim. So I couldn't resist. Anyway, Star Wars Battlefront 2, it looks good. Now when they did the trailer recently, and I did want to do a video on it, and it's like, oh okay, they brought a campaign in, fantastic. And I was hoping, okay, so if they've got a campaign, please tell me you're going to go down the path to Titanfall 2. And what do I mean by that? Well, with Titanfall 1, we didn't have a campaign. It was the biggest thing for me it was missing that gives you the extra value. Yes, multiplayer is where the action's at. But if you're trying to, hook in a new audience, a campaign, it helps. When I say audience, I mean really a market. So we've got that, but not only that, with Titanfall 2, they did free DLC, so you get all your map packs for free. Of course, the microtransactions are still there for your extra add-ons and stuff, but the map packs were there, keeping the community together. And I was going, please do this for Star Wars Battlefront 2, please, because I've seen so many videos on YouTube about Battlefield 1 and the whole community fragmenting and therefore the game becoming less playable the game starts to suffer from an early death. Any of us who've played Call of Duty will know the same thing happens there too as map packs come out. So it's good, it's a good move, and I like it that EA going that way. I wonder if the next Battlefield, whatever they're going to call that, or perhaps the fan favourite out there, and I always loved it, Bad Company 3 maybe? I'd really love to see that, so it's nice and humorous, and that's how I got into Battlefield. But yes, I'm looking forward to Battlefront 2, looking forward to playing a campaign. I mean, anybody who grew up with Star Wars, I think is going to enjoy playing that. And the beta, of course, is going to be in autumn this year, so that's cool. Whenabouts in autumn? Don't quite know. But it's going to be interesting, and is it going to clash with the Call of Duty beta? Hopefully not, because that's a bad move by both companies if they had it at the same time. Anyway, let's move on to Microsoft. Now, we knew they were going to launch with their Scorpio at the beginning. What the heck they were going to call it, we didn't know. And the speculation up to that point was it's going to be around that 500 quid, $500 mark. And that's true. It's $499, $500 and £450. So they're calling it the Xbox One X, and as you probably all know, it's got more horsepower. It's got water cooling via a vapor chamber, and that technology is mature because it's traditionally used in servers and stuff. But also that means that you've got a stacking capability, so you can put other consoles on top or other, whatever pieces of kit you've got underneath your TV, because there's no air vents on the top because it all sucks in the air from the sides and blows it out the back. And it's also more compact, it's even smaller than the S, so yeah, this is the smallest console ever, and it's the fastest, most powerful console ever. Also, they've optimized the good old Xbox, the Scorpio engine as it's known, at the hardware level, because they did all this profiling stuff, which meant that they could analyze the backlog of games and see how developers are utilizing the hardware, making various calls at the hardware level, and removing those roadblocks and making it faster. So therefore, all your traditional Xbox One games effectively run in a boost mode for those of you who have got a PS4 Pro by default. But there is no boost mode, you get it for free. It's just there, it just happens. You don't have to switch it on and have a load of side effects. It's just much more optimized. It's done at the hardware level, so it's really looking good. Obviously it has more RAM, it's got 12 gigs of RAM, and for when you're playing old games, well, what's all that RAM going to be used for? Well, any spare RAM is going to be used for caching. Yes, that means loading your old games up even faster. But not only that, they've now decided, well, we've got 4K, right? The future is 4K, so they put in a faster hard drive, so it means faster loading times. You need it for that 4K because it's got more data coming in. And just like the Xbox One S, they've got a built-in power brick, so that makes it a lot cleaner. I'm seriously going to go and considering getting an Xbox One X. I'll come on to the reasons why, because obviously you can see that I'm excited by this and I'm not going all fanboyism. I mean, when Sony brought out the PS4 Pro, I was going, okay, so I can do 4K gaming, but where's my 4K Blu-ray player? I mean, I felt really that Sony really seriously missed a trick there. I mean, streaming 4K, can you imagine what the download rate's going to be like that? But if I've got a 4K TV, I really want to pop in a 4K Blu-ray. And yeah, so I was really like, wow, that's no good. And so yeah, the Xbox One X, just like the S, has a 4K Blu-ray drive for that UHD playback experience and all that jazz. But one of the other things that they've done and continue to doing on, which is cool, because you probably recently heard that, you know, the PS3 is no longer being made. So you've got investment in a whole back catalogue of games, and if you ever want to fire them up, you've got to use your original PS3 because that's the only way you're going to be able to play it. So you've got all that investment. What happens when your PS3 eventually dies? You can no longer play those games. But on the Xbox, you can play all of those old games, the 360 games and the original Xbox that was termed as OG Xbox, but anyway, the original Xbox, you can play some of those games. Less games, not for a technical reason, but for a more, the companies have all gone bust, and so you need all the licensing and legal stuff to be taken care of to allow them to bring it to the Xbox One. But if you look further into the future, when they bring out the Xbox 2, Xbox 3, whatever the heck they're going to be called, right? You're going to have all that back catalogue of games available to you to play natively on that console, not streaming it over the internet like Sony does with their PlayStation Now, if I've got the right term. So that's a, you know, for me, good, because if you're like a photographer and you buy a load of lenses for your camera, you don't want to be upgrading your bodies and then going, oh, you know, you spent that lots of money for glass. That's what photography will refer to it, i.e. your lenses. Oh, you can't use them on your new cameras, sorry. You feel a bit so, you know, for me, that's cool. I like that. Also, so I don't own a 4K TV. I don't. I've got a 1440p monitor, and the big question mark I've got is, will the Xbox One, you know, output to 1440p? Now, technically, I think it can do, but they haven't talked about that. They've emphasized 4K, but why shouldn't it be allowed to be able to pump out 1440p? We know it can do a 1080p. 4K, why not 1440p? Maybe you've seen something out there on the net and you can let me know in the comments down below. But when I got myself my PS3, which was my first console, right, I didn't own an HD TV. Just like now I don't own a 4K TV. I will do, but it's like, you know, and it's like, was Blu-ray really important to me? Well, I could see it was the future and went, I've got it there, I've got a gaming machine and a Blu-ray player. And now, similarly with the Xbox One X, I'm going to have a 4K Blu-ray player built in for free, so to speak, in my gaming machine, so that I can go and watch 4K Blu-rays on my 1080p monitor, just like I did with 1080p movies when we got the good old Bond movie, Casino Royale, for complete free from Sony because they were cashing in, so to speak, and you managed to get one of those free. You could watch that on your standard def TV back then. And then once you got your 1080p monitor or TV, you can go and watch it in high def as intended. But the other thing is that they've allowed us who don't have 4K TVs and stuff at the moment, because you've got to have a real big TV from a 4K perspective to really benefit. They're going to use super sampling, so that means basically the game is rendering at a higher resolution and then they downsample it, so to speak, into a 1080p image. But you get more of a 4K crispness at the 1080p, so it's better quality 1080p, so I'm looking forward to that. So you can probably tell I'm excited, and my god, I've hardly got anywhere into the E3 commentary and it's already 10ish minutes in. So Xbox One, I mean the games, they did a lot of games, 42 games, it was back to back, and a lot of it was indie games, and they're not for me. But you also think, well, what about for all those who've got kids and all that jazz, and some of these games would be fairly cheap, or maybe you only play indie games, you don't go for the big games like Forza 7 with its true 4K 60 frames a second with dynamic weather and lighting and dynamic puddles, so as it rains the puddles get larger and larger and you have to adapt your driving style, etc. One of the other games that they showed, oh my god, it looked good. Metro Exodus. I mean, true 4K again. I don't know if they quoted what the frame rate was, but I suspect it's going to be running at 30 frames a second. And as I said, it looks really good. Although the Xbox One X is capable of doing 4K, they are not insisting, and they being Microsoft, not insisting everybody must generate 4K at 60 FPS. They're leaving the creative freedom up to the developers. You know, you don't want to stifle your creativity of various developers. Sea of Thieves? That looks a very casual gamer style of game. It's a shared world, pirates and stuff like that. Meh. It's not looking for me, like for me. It looks like it's good fun for a bit of casual gaming, and if it comes out on Xbox Gold, you know, freebie in the future, I'll possibly pick it up. Obviously there's 4K Minecraft. This is a cross-platform game. I mean, you play it on your mobile, so think Android and iOS, and of course the tablets, Nintendo, Windows 10 and Xbox. Everything except the Sony PlayStation platform. Methinks back to the days of Microsoft going into the European court because the Internet Explorer and Microsoft trying to exploit their market position. Is something going to similarly happen with Sony at some point? You know, so cross-platform gaming is one of those things that Sony's getting slapped on the wrist for at the moment, in the sense of, you're abusing your power, you know. And obviously, you know, when they're in market position, they're selling the most consoles out there. This is not a fanboy thing going on. You know, you're going to try and do the best you can do to make the most money you want, because that's your business after all. But at the end of the day, I don't want to see companies screwing over gamers as a whole. So yeah, there's some, you know, so you think about like DLC, you think about Destiny was the 1-year exclusive. Now we're all used to like Call of Duty in the past being 1 month, it's still 1 month, and Battlefield is traditionally like 2 weeks. 1 month to 2 weeks, fine, but when it's over a year and you don't get the content actually delivered to you on the Xbox One, 1 year down the line when they promised they would, but they don't, apparently, it's not a good thing for gamers. How is that good for gamers? It's not, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below on that one. Okay, so one of the other games I think really looked the best looking, visually stunning. It was like, wow, this is a game you want to play on a 4K TV, and that was Ori, however you pronounce it, Will of the Wisps. I mean, it looked absolutely visually stunning. It really did. It was almost film quality like, if not film quality like. It looked fantastic. How the game plays and stuff, I have no idea. It's one of those artistic, creative type of games, but it's like, yeah, possibly we'll play that in the future at some point. Probably not at launch, but you know, go, what is this game about? And then, yeah. Now, one of the games that did pique my interest, apart from Metro Exodus, was Anthem. Yeah, so if you follow me on Twitter, you would have seen me say, this looks like Titanfall 2 with a blend of Destiny. So it isn't a co-op RPG type game. It looks like it's a player versus environment, hopefully with lots more stories than Destiny, because that was the thing that let it down for me. I don't want to just be farming, as it's known in the world of RPG. And with Destiny, their multiplayer played so badly. I mean, it was laggy as hell. NetDoomer wouldn't allow you to resolve it because it was, you know, it's just down to the gaming code. And it was unbalanced. So all I hope is that they focus on PvE, where you're playing and exploring areas and you're doing co-op stuff and unlocking stuff and having fun, really, without it trying to be like a COD. But I mean, that looked graphically stunning too. Okay, enough about Microsoft, Xbox and some of their games. What about Sony? Well, Sony had back-to-back trailers, more or less, in their presentation too. But Microsoft, sorry, going backwards slightly, had a few more, you know, developers and studios talking in between, so it wasn't so back-to-back. Sony had complete back-to-back, and it was a shorter presentation. So Sony had an interesting opening with the music and stuff, and I was going, this is sort of sounding along the lines of Uncharted style of music, or something that would fit in. You know, Uncharted is a key game. Are they going to be opening it up with it? Oh yes. absolutely. And I always look forward to playing Uncharted. I mean, that was one of those games that is hard to put down the controller. Very addictive, so I'm looking forward to that one. Now, Days Gone, zombie style game, and having people hanging down from the roof within the auditorium, or whatever you want to call it, acting as hanging zombies and stuff. That was a bit fun. It looks okay. Whether I'll get it, I don't know. They had a whole host of VR games, and personally I'm just not interested in VR. That will make sense in a future video when I talk about some other stuff, but I am not personally interested in VR. Not at this stage. No way. Eye strain and other stuff. It's not for me. Just like 3D movies aren't for me. VR at this point in time is not for me. Maybe you're absolutely head over heels and totally excited. Again, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. I want to gauge, well, my viewers and the world of the gaming community out there as a whole. What things excite you? What things are you looking forward to? Now, God of War, that's a key Sony game, and it looked good. You expect it to look good. One game that I've never heard of before, and I don't follow gaming minute by minute, pulse by pulse, and all that stuff, even though I do YouTube as a hobby. But Detroit. That looked pretty cool when it's 3D androids. It looks interesting. It's a decision-based type game. So again, I guess it's that RPG and Mass Effect style of game where you have a choice of different decisions that you can make, and therefore various different outcomes, and therefore the way the game ends, I guess, ends differently. So that is going to be interesting. Now, Destiny 2. Now, I sort of touched on Destiny earlier. Again, it's got exclusive content till autumn 2018, so that 1 year later, Xbox may or may not get the stuff that they're being promised. And for me, it's not a day one purchase at all. I'm sorry. I mean, I felt so betrayed by Activision when I bought Destiny 1 with the 2 DLC packs for over £100. That's quite an investment. It's a lot of money. That's like half a console, for the lower end. I say the lower end, the consoles that are aimed at the mass market, which go around for about 250 quid. £100 for a game with a couple of DLC packs that weren't massively large for me, and then when they brought out the next DLC to sell it for £40, and then to sell the entire lot. So the original game, the 2 DLCs plus the new DLC for £10 more, 50 quid. I felt a big punch to the gut, and I went, I feel betrayed. That's how I feel. And I was a bit disappointed. And it's like, maybe I'll pick up Destiny 2 at the tail end of its life for 25 quid or whatever it's going for all the DLCs, and just play through the story stuff that's there and then leave it. Don't know. I know a lot of people out there will be dead excited for Destiny, and I do wonder about Anthem and how that's going to play, because I see Anthem as a Destiny competitor, just like COD and Battlefield. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Now, a game that did look fun, and it could be a day one for me. Some sort of light relief. It's sort of fun. That's the Spider-Man game from Insomniac Games. It looks fun. I mean, graphically, it looked really nice. Really nice. So, yeah, it could be a day one. Insomniac always get their gaming right, from my experience of playing some of their games. So, I look forward to that. So, Bethesda, it's an interesting one. They brought out a couple of games. Well, there's only a couple of games I'm interested in. They've got Quake, and they've got Quake Champions, so they're going to be doing back to esports. So traditionally, when it gets esporty from a shooter game point of view, we all think about COD Championships. What about now? Quake Champions. We've got something else to watch. It's going to be interesting to see the esports scene grow and develop, and whether then we eventually start to see esports being broadcast on traditional TV, who knows? Or whether it just remains the realms of Twitch or whatever streaming platform they decide to use. Wolfenstein 2, yeah, that's going to be a game to pick up for sure. And so finally, let's go and touch on the game that most of you guys are absolutely going to be interested in, and that's Call of Duty. World War II. Now the most important thing for me is they've announced a beta, and more importantly just than beta, they've actually announced it's coming out in August. So that's great. That gives me a higher degree of confidence that the game is pretty much complete. Can do final polishing touches required, have a couple of months before launch to be able to go in, well, take that community feedback and tweak it, just like the Treyarch did for Black Ops 3, and not like a complete disaster known as Infinite Warfare. But although the multiplayer looks good, and I mentioned in my previous, or one of my previous videos, that I wanted them to still keep the rushing somehow, and I said maybe faster movement speeds and stuff, because we're not going to have the jetpacking, and I didn't see any sliding from gameplay I've seen for multiplayer so far, and if you have seen it, let me know. It looks good, so you've got faster movement, got that fast pace there that you want for COD, whilst keeping it grounded or rooted, you know, for gaming terminology of boots on the ground, i.e. no jetpacks. Boots on the ground in a military term doesn't mean that, it means you have troops deployed in an area or for theatre. So it gives me confidence that the game is good in that sense, and I'll probably watch more stuff and get up to speed on that and give further thoughts into Call of Duty other aspects. But so far there are like 3 big questions from a Call of Duty gamer perspective that I am totally interested in, and I'm sure you guys are going to be interested in, because these can be make and break big time for the game. Number 1 is netcode. How playable is it on the internet? I don't care about it's really good on a LAN. If it plays terrible on a LAN, oh my god, it's got no chance in hell playing on the internet, right? So I suspect a lot of people are going to wait and see, because we've all been burnt way too many times. It all looks good in the trailers, it all looks good when playing on a LAN, and then it comes out onto the internet and you play it and it doesn't play very well. So a lot of people will probably be waiting for all the beta videos to go up and tell the world how wow and wonderful this game plays. Honest Gov, it's great. So yes, I will be getting it, at least for the PS4. I suspect I'll be getting it for the Xbox too, unless it's really unplayable on the PS4, and therefore, because you can get a digital download, I can go in. I've got a weekend between the two to evaluate and go, yeah, it's good, no, it's terrible. Okay, but what other things am I concerned about? Skill-based matchmaking. I mean, yes, I recognize they could have a little bit of it there, but how dialed is it? Is it mildly dialed in, or is it extreme? I don't want it being Advanced Warfare like, where skill comes first before connection, and I don't want it being like Infinite Warfare like, where I have to be try hard mode every time because I'm put against a full clan on one side and I've got a team of noobs / randoms with me, and somehow I'm meant to carry the team. It's no fun. Call of Duty is all about being fun. So that's 2 things for me that can fundamentally break a game. Netcode being bad because the update rates are too ridiculously slow. I mean, I've mentioned this before, Call of Duty has always prided itself on 60 frames a second. It better have a blimmin' well 60 frames a second or 60 Hz update rate, not a stupid 10 Hz, 20 Hz update like Infinite Warfare launched with. I'd expect at least a 30 Hz up and down from client to server. So, okay, those are those bits. Supply drops and weapon variants. We know they're going to have something there, and I'm hoping it stays completely camo-like, and no stupidly perky style weapons, and they can't do because it's got to be World War II, but I don't know where they would go with weapon variants and stuff. We know that they're going to have microtransactions of some kind. We're going to have to wait and see. It will never ever go away because it's a money maker. Activision love their money. They don't like spending it on servers and infrastructure and all that jazz, but they love to make it. Anyway, so that's my thoughts. You probably might be interested in some other games that I haven't even mentioned. Drop comments down there, vote for comments that people have suggested, games that they're interested in, so I can have a look at it and stuff, because I just don't want to be a Call of Duty channel totally 100%. I know a lot of you guys come to me because of that, and lag compensation and all that jazz. But let me know what your guys' thoughts about E3 is. Any key points you think I missed, because there's a lot of stuff and I couldn't watch it all. So, as always, I appreciate a thumbs up, it really does help my channel grow, and until next time, this has been Sim.